except where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
This is why I train in martial arts.
Under the realm of this is why I train in martial arts. This looks like this is a TikTok video. I saw it on the martial arts community on Facebook and on Twitter. Basically, the backstory behind this is that guy in the trench coat actually has mental problems, and he was under the delusion that that child was his child. But regardless of that unfortunate event, the man in the black coat is trying to abduct the little girl from the guy in the blue shirt, who also happens to have a dog there. I'm going to tell you now, this is why you need to train in martial arts, because I suspect the guy in the blue shirt doesn't have a lot of violence experience, because he did not respond with any type of force at all to this attack. So I'm going to play the attack, and then I'm just going to do basically a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking.
So this was played last week in court. Thankfully, the kid was saved. There was a couple of more people that joined it at the end. But it really just happens this quick, guys. We have to watch our children. We have to watch other people's children. We have to be ready. Supposedly the guy was on drugs, but I think it was intentional.
So I'm going to say right now, okay, in terms of what you can't train in a martial arts class, no real awareness. He let that guy get entirely too close to him when he had a child. If you don't know somebody like that, they don't need to get this close to you. See, this is one thing that I've said in terms of the whole COVID-19 thing. People want to talk about social distancing and they feel alienated. I find it funny that me being a large black guy, people social distance me long before there was a pandemic. Most people won't let me get within 6 feet of them. Okay? It used to offend me, but after a while I was like, you know what? I don't need to be that close to anybody anyway, for real. And then once I really started paying more attention to my environment, I realized I don't need to be that close to anyone. Nobody needs to be that close to me either. And when I was coming up, I was taught if somebody's close enough to touch you, they're close enough to hurt you. Don't let them get close enough to touch you. And he had a child with him too. So he should not have let somebody he doesn't know get that close to him. And it looks like he just let his guard down completely. Okay? And second of all, which other people have said, that have commented on this video, what's up with the dog? Why isn't the dog attacking? Barking or something? What is up with that dog? Now, some people defending the dog have said that the dog has probably been abused or the dog was never trained to be a fighter. Okay? So obviously, the adult male in the blue shirt, he's not trained to be a fighter, and the dog's not trained to be a fighter either. I bet if the guy in the blue shirt had started fighting, the dog probably would have started fighting too. This is why you need to train in martial arts. I don't think the guy in the blue shirt has a lot of violence experience. I don't know, but I suspect that he doesn't. If you don't have a lot of violence experience, taking up something like a martial art will help you. It will help you out a lot. Even this, if technique decayed to the point to where he couldn't remember to do anything intricate or, slide down and do some kind of intercepting fist or poke at the eyes or something like that, training combativeness with some striking, or even if you do solo exercises with some martial intent, would instill enough of a reaction to if danger comes and they're trying to come after me to just start hitting. If he had held the child in one hand behind him and just kept smacking at the guy's face and eyes and trying to rip at him and just hit repeatedly. I'm talking just this, even with what we call hammer fists, just this, and kicking at the guy and hitting and screaming and yelling at the guy, that may have encouraged the dog to join in on it. Because remember, well, if you watch my Dirty John analysis video, when Tara was attacked by John, she started fighting, her dog started fighting. So she's fighting John off, and John's trying to hurt her. The dog grabs John's legs, grabs John's at the ankle, keeping him off balance. Same thing probably would have happened here. The dog would have followed his lead. Okay? Now I understand he wants to protect the child, but the best way to protect the child in this instance, is this was a single attacker, put the child down. Best way to protect the child in this situation, have the child behind you here. You fight the child. And let me say something like this too. Okay? I know some of you are going to feel like I'm stretching. You really can't see me. You'll see this a move like this, right? You got a hand back here. I'm shortening it just so I can fit in the camera. You have a hand out like this, and you have something back here. Even when you punch, you may have a punch out here and a hand back here. See this chambered hand? A lot of times we say there's something in the hand. There's something in the hand. What if we say there's a child in this hand? You punch one good time, yeah, at a weak part of the body while you have a child, a small child in this hand. You strike repeatedly while you have a small child in this hand. Okay? There are a lot of sideways techniques that are done like this. Let me turn my body to the side in some of your forms. You have your child back here. Okay? You have your child back here. There's something in this hand. Why do we chamber our hand back at the ribs? Why do we chamber our hand back at the waist? Why do we pull this hand back? There's something in the hand, something valuable in the hand. It's not always retreating. That can be an application. You're holding a child and you're doing this. Now, for all those of you who advocate ground fighting, and I have nothing against ground fighting, okay, because my style has judo in it. We can see here at the end of the video why you would want to study ground fighting in case somebody falls on you. Okay? This is the perfect instance of why to study ground fighting, even if, because this is what happens with a lot of people that study Taekwondo and Judo with me. They'll want to punch when they're on the ground too, and that would be perfect for this. They'll want to kick and punch when they're on the ground. I tell them, go into your grappling techniques on the ground just to practice them. And they'll go, I want to hit too, because I like hitting and kicking. I like punching and kicking, so I want to do that on the ground too. And I'm like, I want to save that for later. Because if you punch and kick when you're on the ground, white belts, yellow belts, you can hurt each other. Then bam! Yes, just like I told you. That can happen. But this is the perfect situation for that. Fortunately for us, this gentleman in the white shirt showed up and started to help.
Supposedly the guy was on drugs, but I think it was intentional.
Now, where is the fighting ethic in the guy in the white shirt? I see this. I'm kicking him in the ribs. I'm sorry. You know, any prospective employers, I'm sorry if this makes me look evil, because if I see a man attempting to abduct an infant from her father, this is a little girl, I'm going to kick him in the ribs. I'm sorry if that makes me evil in your eyes, but I guess I'm just not an ideal employee. I guess I'm just not. The way he was exposed, one kick in the ribs. If he's on something, 2 or 3 kicks in the ribs, been done. If you definitely want to knock him out, if you kick up in here on his jaw while he's down like this, and anybody who has gone beyond at least a white belt in Taekwondo can do that. And this is the thing where internet haters want to say, well, Taekwondo is no good because everybody can't kick high. This has been a perfect situation where the guy in the white shirt who's intervening would not have had to kick very high at all to get this man off of the parent who is trying to protect his child. This involved, you see this? Where is the need for a high kick? He could have kicked the guy in the tailbone. He could have kicked him in the side of the leg. Especially when he's over top of the man right here. Look down at the bottom screen. Where's the need for a high kick? There is none. Normal human flexibility would have handled this just fine. And I know because I use low kicks to keep a big dog from shredding a small pet poodle-like dog in front of this free video editor. It keeps cutting off. That's fine. Like I was saying, I used low taekwondo kicks to keep a big dog from shredding a small dog in front of children because I didn't want the children to be traumatized by them seeing their dog ripped to shreds in front of them. Okay? And everybody was happy about it that I did that, including the owner of the dog that I kicked. She was glad because I didn't kill the dog. I told her, please take your dog to the hospital because I kicked the dog in a pressure point sequence. Just get the dog checked out. She looked at me like I was crazy. I said, would you please watch how your dog is walking now? And then she noticed the dog was staggering. I said, would you please take your dog to get checked out so that we can make sure that your dog is okay? Because I had to do that because when I came there and just jumped at the dog to tell and told to stop, it was getting ready. It looked at me like, who are you? And it went into the shred. And the first time I just kicked it, it didn't stop. So I had to kick it 4 times in the sequence, and then I let go. And it was TKO'd on its feet. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you this because these type of situations, this is why you need martial arts training. And honestly, this is not sparring. This is not the realm of sparring. Sparring, to me, is not going to help you with this. What's going to help you with this are your forms and your one-step sparring techniques. Not necessarily your free-step sparring. Your forms, your one-step sparring techniques, your basics, even on the ground. Your basic techniques on the ground or just being comfortable on the ground. If you feel comfortable wrestling on the ground, you should be comfortable punching up on the ground too, okay? Just having, that's one thing I really do like about grappling, is that for what you have to deal with most people, you don't need to get to a black belt level of proficiency in grappling in order for you to feel kinesthetically comfortable to get someone off you. That's one thing I really love about grappling. But the thing is, of course, once you really get into it, it's like if you get a beginner's level, you feel like, I might as well go intermediate. Then once you get to intermediate, you're like, I might as well go for the black belt. Okay? Then you get to black belt and you realize this is the ever-learning thing, just like with anything else. So this, another thing, I don't want to get too political on here, but this is an example too of we are so anti-warrior ethic for the average person in this society that we forget that violence can happen. It can happen anywhere. You don't need to be super paranoid. You just need to be careful and aware, especially when you have a child with you. Okay? And honestly, if you want to know who do I blame for this, I blame no one in this but the man in the black jacket. And from what I read, he may not even have been at fault because he's mentally ill. So there may actually be no one to blame for this. If he's under some kind of mental delusion, he's not in control of himself. If the dad is socialized by our society to not have a warrior ethic and to think that any sort of aggression at all is wrong and we don't put it in proper context, he's not at fault at that. That's not his fault. If the guy in the white shirt is told that he doesn't need to have a warrior ethic because that's not his job, he's not at fault either. We definitely can't blame the infant and the dog. If you tell some people you want to train your dog to fight and be an attack dog, you're going to be shamed for that. So this is the thing of, it's like it's nobody's fault, but then it ends up being everybody's responsibility because we're not being realistic about life and human nature and the fact that sometimes, man, bad things just happen. And I submit to you that if you train in martial arts, it will help you handle some of these bad things. So thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people that talk about the martial arts and self-defense. Peace. Thank you for your time. And remember, your best technique first is being aware. You just can't let anybody get that close to you that you don't know. And then the other thing is, law of probability, man. I think this is just a law of probability, for lack of a better term, say it in less fancy terms, bad luck. Sometimes things just happen, and it's good. If you're in IT, you know about redundant backup. Use your martial arts training as a redundant backup. Peace, and as always, thank you very much for your time.
Where them kicks at? Where them hands? Where them holes? Where them throws? You know what I'm saying?